Okay, welcome everybody to take two of Revolution Live, session 12 now. We had some technical problems, technical difficulties with the new microphone. I think that the volume of the microphone was a bit too high and we were peaking. So we have at least one viewer here. Hi. And if there are problems with the microphone, if something is sounds bad, please write in the chat. If it sounds good, please also write in the chat so that I know it sounds good. And hopefully now we can do it. We can do it without any difficulties. So welcome everybody to Revolution Live, session number 12. My name is Alon.
I'm Elik.
Yeah, and so we were talking about how this became something that we're kind of doing together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we can. You want to act out the same discussion again? You want to say exactly what you said in the now deleted session?
No, I said that I liked your solo live again. I think there's different quality to dialogue and monologue, and I also sometimes like monologue because you have to take the juice out of yourself by yourself.
Yeah,
and there's some quality to it. I don't know, and I wish also that I have more ability to activate myself by myself. Like it's hard to do things alone. I think we both experience it, right? That
yes, it's really difficult to do it alone. It's also difficult to do it together.
Yeah.
But it gives you some energies when there are other people involved.
Yeah, but then when there's other people, you need to find time. You need to lift the other person.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to it.
Yes, pros and cons. So welcome everybody who are here. Again, I want to say we have a new microphone. Hopefully, it's much better than the older one we had, and you can hear us. You can hear us well. There were problems in the first take of this video.
Yeah, let us know if you hear us.
Yes, please write in the chat if you hear well, if you don't hear well, so that we know what's going on, because we can't hear it, here on my computer. So please write what's going on. Oh, I see what happened. Everything was tilted, and now I think it's better. Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
So today we want to speak about the movie No Other Land, and this movie just won the Oscars last week, and so it's a very powerful and interesting movie, but also it sparked up some controversy, and we want to discuss it. We want to go into as many different facets of this discussion as possible, and we want to have a nuanced discussion. Okay, that's like the big thing that we want to do here, because we feel that it is a little bit lacking in this space. So Elik, you want to tell what this movie is about and what the controversy is about, and we will start from there.
Yeah, so the movie is about the struggles of Palestinian community in Masafer Yatta, where
Yes.
Its communities in the South Mount Hebron, Halil. Yeah, they're struggling against eviction orders that are there from the 80s, where the army said it's supposed to be. It's one of the tactics of the IA, of the Zionist occupation to say this is a military zones. They have many for army training, and they have many ways of doing it. This is one of the tools in their
arsenal. Yes,
in their arsenal.
Yeah, it's something that happens a lot. Okay, just so people understand, if you watch this movie, okay, one of the things that we're going to say about this movie is that you can see what happens in Masafer Yatta, but it's really difficult to understand what the context of everything happening is. And if you don't know the context already, you might not know. Okay.
Yeah.
So one piece of context that we can add is that what is happening in Masafer Yatta is not special. is not unique, is not new. It's not the first time that it happened. It's not the only place where it is happening right now. Okay, this is a very well-known tactic of Zionist occupation. As you said, you take an area where you want to take over. You say this is a military zone. This is a zone that's restricted for military training, and there are people living there, and those people will be Palestinians. And then you use the court, the High Court for Justice,
Yeah.
and you take out warrants, and the warrants say this is a restricted military area, and you destroy the homes of everyone living there, and you kick them out, and then maybe a few months later, maybe a few years later, depends on the strategy, they start building Jewish settlements there. Suddenly, it's not a military area. Suddenly, the military doesn't need it for training, and they build Jewish settlements there.
Yeah. And it's one tactic among many. Like, sometimes they say they did it because they declare some area as a nature reserve. It also happens.
Yes.
They like, there are so many tactics you can make list, but it's true that if you watch the movie, and this is part of the criticism that people gave, that you don't know that it's part of a larger picture, right?
Mhm.
That it's and we argued between us if it's a intentional choice of the movie because
Mhm.
because they wanted to show only part, or it just, to me, like, it's also the weakness, but it's also a advantage point, because it's not, I don't like when movies and documentaries are too much like didactic, like trying
Yes.
to educate you in an explicit way. And this movie, the only voiceover is the one of Basel, the main character,
Mhm.
and it's a personal story as well,
Mhm.
and that's why it touch you emotionally. So I think if they would say, if there, for example, there was a narrator who would say, this what's happened since 48, and it's part of the settler colonialism, maybe it will feel like another informative movie that doesn't touch you so much in the gut level. So I don't
Yes.
know, but it's a fact that you can watch this movie, and I think for many people this is the case, that you can think it's only a thing, a struggle, to something that happens to those people in Masafer Yatta, or that it only happens in the West Bank,
Yes.
or like there's no tools for you to, and we understand that the only way to understand it properly is that it's part of that the only way to understand this is to understand what Zionism is, and that it's part of what Zionism does to so many Palestinians, and you cannot understand what happens there without understanding what happens in Gaza,
Mhm.
and that the genocide in Gaza is connected to what happens in Masafer Yatta. It's
Yes.
all, and the Palestinians they know these connections,
Yes.
and yeah. So I think it's something that is important to understand.
So I have a take about this claim. I'm not saying that what you're saying now is wrong. Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I think it's correct to some extent. Okay,
Mhm.
but I think this has to
Pass
do.
me that, so.
Yes, I think this has to do with more general discussions about
Mhm.
art. Okay,
Yeah.
and documentarism. Okay, specifically,
Mhm.
and I think okay. So every time a work of art is being made, there is a lot of care that is being invested into this work of art. Okay, a lot of care is being taken. If not a lot of care is being taken, then it's not a good work of art, and there's no point in consuming it. Okay,
Yeah.
in being being exposed to it and
Yeah.
analyzing it.
Like care is big part of what makes a good work of art.
Yes,
and
Yes.
intention.
Yes, care and intention. It doesn't have to be conscious intention, but it has to be intention. It has to be intentional. Otherwise, I would say that it's not really art. Okay.
Mhm.
And I am sure that in this movie, a lot of care was taken away. How taken in the creation of
Put
this movie?
in the yeah.
Yes, put into this movie. How am I sure? Because it's a good movie. Okay.
Mhm.
Because it's a movie that carries you inside the story, because I see the editing of this movie. This movie is not just, it's not like one of our episodes, okay,
Yeah.
that's just like a linear stream of we take we turn on the camera and we start talking. And even we did one episode where we did commentary on our interview with Muhammad Zrai, okay, and we had to edit it a little bit, okay, and we saw how difficult this work was. It took us a long time, okay, and it took a lot of effort.
Yeah, we
okay?
said we're just gonna put it with a video immediately, and then we had to work on it for like 2 months.
Okay, but so this is procrastination as well, but it was also hard work, okay?
Yeah,
So we saw this.
Yeah.
And in this movie was a lot of work, okay? You see, it's well edited, okay? And there is a narrative being presented there, and there is a story being presented there. I think it's something that documentarists like to say a lot. Oh, I'm just presenting reality in a neutral way. Don't criticize me on my artistic choices, because I'm not even an artist. I am just a journalist. I am just a documentarist. I just present reality. And respectfully, I think this is bullshit. Okay?
Yeah.
And really respectfully, because I think that you're doing more than this when you are a documentarist. You're telling a story. You have, I don't know, 300 hours of footage, 500 hours of footage, and you thin it down to 1.5 hours of a movie.
Yeah. Okay.
And this movie has a lot of different sources for the footage, and it's well edited, okay? And it tells a story.
Mhm.
And it tells a specific story, okay? And this story, we can say that it has advantages, like you said. The story is very personal and therefore compelling. It's local and therefore not too complicated, so it can suck you in. There is a school of thought about how to create art in general and how to create documentaries specifically, that would tell you that it's a good idea to keep it, focused.
Yeah.
But we have to acknowledge that this is an artistic choice that was made. And it has disadvantages as well. And one of the disadvantages is that it's very difficult through this movie to see the general context of what is going on. Okay?
Mhm.
And it is a fact that when we watch this movie, we got away from this movie with a certain, okay, so we already have a certain perception, a certain knowledge about the situation, a certain context and framework for how we understand what we see when we see this movie.
Yeah.
And other people may not, or they may have a different perception. And your understanding of the facts being presented to you through this story in the way that it is presented to you changes with respect to the context that you have in your mind. Okay, what is I'm using a lot of big words, okay, but what am I saying? I'm saying that when Elik and I saw the movie, and when people who are deep inside the pro-Palestine struggle and already know about the context of Zionism see this movie, they see what is happening in Masafer Yatta as an end result of some huge colonial project. Okay, just one of the things that is happening, and they see the genocide in Gaza as another thing that is happening, and they see the system of propaganda as another thing that is happening, and they see the state of Israel as another thing that is happening. Okay, and they see the oppression of the Palestinians inside 48 lines as another thing that is happening, and what Israel is doing in Syria, and so forth and so on. Okay. But when other people see this movie, they might get a different picture. Maybe this movie will encourage them to investigate more and know and learn what we learned, but maybe it won't. And maybe they will get their own specific conclusions from this movie. And this is the kind of thing that we want to elaborate on later.
It's also, I saw one of the, like kind of, one of the good things that people say, when people talk about the movie, he says like, look how it made Zionists angry. So it's a proof that it's working, and it's true in a way. It made many people really stressed. But then I watched a bit to see like what Zionist propaganda is saying about this movie, and I have few like YouTubers that I follow that are Zionist, and I want to know how they do it. Yeah, I do it sometimes.
The Secret Life of Elik. What do you watch?
There's a guy, one guy I didn't see that is called Traveling Israel.
Traveling Israel, okay, yeah.
There's another guy like Mizrahi Jew something.
So this is Morak, not Morak. This is Toda Oyev.
Yeah, like
consciousness to the enemy.
I feel it's important sometimes. It's hard, but I think like you get stronger when you understand how they present it.
Yeah, that's your excuse. Okay. No, I'm kidding. Okay, yeah. Continue.
But so what do they try to say against this movie? They say you don't understand these communities are actually have home somewhere else, and you know they're intruders and they build illegally, and like someone gave this bullshit story that it's not true, but I think but he's like, he's able to say it.
Yes.
Because what Zionists try to say, doesn't have a larger context. It's a struggle between Israel and these specific communities that built illegally. It's something localized and specific, you know.
Yes.
What they say is a lie, and they are there for many years, and you know, and of course we know that they're like since, but I think, but they can say, look, it's just this, because the movie is just showing just a specific case, and then it's easier to say like it's a struggle between the army and these communities, and that's it, and they are, and something like that. So
let's generalize what you're saying. I think it's very important. When there are systems of control, of supremacy, one of the tactics that they will use to maintain themselves is to create separation between their victims. Okay, this is when we talk about capitalism and we talk about like isolation in capitalism. Isolation and separation is the opposite of solidarity, and we see this in a specific example. When you separate the Palestinians in the West Bank from the Palestinians in Gaza, from the Palestinians in 48, from the Palestinian refugees in the diaspora, okay? When you separate all these different groups of Palestinians and also separate between them and activists who want to help them, who come from, who are Jewish and come from Israel. So you prevent, so you can say, oh, the genocide in Gaza, not the genocide, the war crimes, the specific war crimes in Gaza are happening because of specific things that happen in Gaza, because of October 7th, which happened out of nowhere, right? Yeah. October 7th happened out of nowhere, and this created this started a war in Gaza, and in this war there are particular and specific war crimes, like Yuval Abraham told us, okay?
And I oppose this specific crime. Yes. And it's all about this disconnected specific crimes that you can
can excuse all the time, or not excuse and say that you're against this.
Yeah, I'm against this, but I'm not against that. Yes. Or I'm against these two and not against this one, and you don't see the whole picture.
And inside 48, maybe Palestinians are a little bit poorer. You know, their culture is kind of backwards. You know, and yes, it's a problem, but it's it's like that all over the world. There are poor populations, and usually and blah blah, and there's racism everywhere. You know, blah 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 blah. And every single particular thing you can excuse, or you can say yes, it's a problem, but we're working on it. But by doing this and this and this, and then you don't do anything to work on it, or it doesn't work, and you can continue excusing. Okay, but the moment that you connect all the dots and look at the big picture, it's much harder to excuse.
Yeah.
It's much harder to explain away. So this is one aspect in which the system can use separation to maintain itself and to maintain its power.
So we wanted to talk about this, but there was another. So this is one discussion about the movie
Yes.
itself and the picture it's exposing, and I think a lot of controversy rose, right? Rose from the what came after, right? For
The speeches.
the speeches, and then there was
Yeah.
the BDS announcement, and
Yes.
there's I'm really in one way I really feel for them both, because it's true that they're being attacked from many different
Many
directions.
different directions. Yes.
Like
yes.
Yuval is super attacked from the Zionist side, but also the BDS said it's normalization.
Yes.
And I'm like, and many people felt like somebody is trying to do something. You can have criticism, but he tried to do something good. He
Yes.
saw the
Yes.
injustice.
Yes.
They decided to collaborate. They collaborated together in order, basically, to tell the story of these people,
Yes.
and the movie itself is not doing both siding, right? It's showing.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not saying, oh, it happened because of whatever, something the Palestinians.
Yeah, no both siding in this movie. It's very clear who the good guys and who the bad guys are in this movie.
Yeah, there's no both siding in the movie itself.
Which is part of the creation of the narrative that was crafted in this work of art, which is a documentary as well. Come on, don't act innocent, okay?
Mhm.
You created this narrative. I think it's the correct narrative.
Yeah.
But if you showed everything that happened, maybe the narrative wouldn't be so clear, okay? But I want to say, you are right. And I think Yuval and Basel ate a lot of shit after the Oscars, okay? And here's what I want to suggest. Let's take at least 10-15 minutes to say what our experience was when we were watching this movie and what this movie does, which is good and excellent and productive. Because I think we want our audience to know, and also it is the truth that we found this movie very powerful. That I would just say, when I watched this movie, these 90 minutes, I had to stop every like 2-3 minutes because it was too difficult to see.
Yeah.
Because I was crying, okay? I was, on the verge of tears or actually crying throughout this movie. It took me like 5 hours to watch this movie. It's a 90-minute movie, but it took me 5 hours because I had to stop every second because it's so difficult.
Yeah, it's really, and I think, yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. I also watched it, and like me and my friend watched it. We were silent like for an hour.
Yes.
Like we couldn't. We just, and it was really hard because we felt like a lot of, how come we're sitting here in this comfortable place? It's also, I want to say, the experiences, like at that moment I felt the Israeli guilt,
Yes. Yes.
We have a lot of questions about, like, are we Israelis? We call ourselves Israelis and all that? But
I don't have any question. I like they call me Israeli, and technically I'm Israeli, but I don't see myself as Israeli.
I don't know. I feel that my job is still in that society.
Yes,
As a person who live here, it's really
Yes.
hard because you think this shit has been going on for so long,
Mhm.
and I feel I didn't do so much in my life in order to prevent it, even if it was happening next to my house, and it took a genocide to wake me up.
Mhm.
And even now, it's not that I feel that I'm doing enough, but I started to speak up against it regularly, and
Yes.
and I think I'm doing a good job in breaking the propaganda, which is part of the struggle, I think.
Yes.
And
maybe I will just say something general. We will talk more about like these two roles that exist and what is more important and what is less important.
Yeah.
The point will be that everything is important. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was really hard, and and heartbreaking, like to
Yes.
see. It's, I think what the movie is doing really well is that you see kind of the Palestinians, and also Yuval in that sense seems like real people with hearts, with emotions, with feeling.
Yes.
They get angry. It's not trying to romanticize them. Sometimes they have hope and they're depressed, and sometimes they get but they're like, you feel for them, you identify with them, and then you see like the soldiers, and
Yes. And they look like zombies.
they look like zombies, and to me it's like good. It made me think a lot about this like state violence. What is this? What it does to the oppressor? Because I know it's, you see all these soldiers and girls from a lot of times very oppressed communities in Israel, like Ethiopians, and you think like it's not people who wanted to come here, like many, like I thought about the Ethiopians that you see there.
Yes.
They have been promised some dream about some promised land that exists in their Jewish myths.
Yeah.
And then they brought them here to be soldiers in this army of the empire who's playing with everybody, and it looks like, and it destroys them soul. I'm sure it's doing something to them, because if a human have to become this tool, because they don't look like humans, right? It looks like you keep asking, where is the emotion? Where is the...
Yes. They cannot have emotion. Like, I think one of the themes of this movie is looking at the people living in Masafer Yatta, and they are trying to speak to the hearts of the soldiers who are destroying their houses, destroying their schools, destroying the playground, killing them. Okay, being violent towards them, trying to speak to them, saying, "Hey, you, please look at me, see what you're doing to me," and they're getting zero reaction, like completely blank face, and I think this is something that both of us, and maybe now everyone around the world, experience this weird phenomenon, this bizarre phenomenon of people just being completely oblivious, indifferent, like callously indifferent to the suffering of people who are right in front of them.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you can say, okay, like let's say the Israelis who don't participate in the army, and they go to, in the last year, everything, like since October 7th of 2003, like I don't experience this society the same way. Like, and yesterday I played a game with a friend to earn a few bucks, and I'm like,
few shekels.
And it's a guy, like, he's cute, he has nice songs, but everything seems so surreal, where people, like, they drink their coffees knowing what's going on, and they completely shut out to what's happening. And I think that if they right now, the position that I think, even if Israel will kill the Palestinians exactly the same way the Nazis killed the Jews in the Holocaust, they wouldn't care. They would just, they want them not to exist and to go on business as usual.
Yes.
And they will be okay with it.
Yes.
They will find way to tell themselves that it's not happening, and they will but then you see, but the soldiers do see the people.
Yes.
Yes,
but they see them through the filter of this demonization that is happening. It's a fundamental part of the system of propaganda and indoctrination of the Zionist project. And maybe this is one other direction to where we say it's hard to see the context when you watch this movie. If you ask yourself the question, how does this happen? How can this scene where I see a person looking another person in the eyes and just saying fuck you and destroying their homes and killing them, how can this happen? And there is no answer for how this can happen inside the movie, right? There's no, like, You don't see the system of propaganda, the system of indoctrination. I don't know if they could have put it in the movie, but it's a fact that if you watch this movie, you might come out of it feeling that the people, that the soldiers in this movie are just monsters, just soulless demons. And the fact is that they are not soulless demons, but that they have been brainwashed from the day that they were born, heavily, every moment of their life. They were brainwashed into thinking that the other side, that the people that they are oppressing are demons. And they just cannot see them as subjects. They just cannot see them as real people. They cannot. They
But
cannot.
you see their children, like you see the innocence of the children. By the way, there's like it
So
made,
you see the innocence of the children. That's what I'm saying. You are seeing it.
and you know, like I'm reading now Muhammad al-Kurd's book. Many people reading it, which I think it should be talked about not less than this movie, because I think it's one of the first times that I see many people actually talking about a book that Palestinian wrote and not a book that someone wrote about
the
Palestinians. Yeah. And he's like, there is a really powerful he's writing how the Palestinians child, it's called it being unchilded. And he's talking how like there was this movement of like someone built this theater in, I don't remember where, in the West Bank.
Okay.
And he says like, I don't remember it, a movie that you see kids playing and one Palestinian child like expressing himself and having fun, and said this kid became a resistance fighter. He's like describing them.
Are you talking about the movie Janine Janine, maybe?
I don't remember
Okay.
if it's about what he talks about, but
Okay.
he's describing how children who murdered people tried to help them not, like how the occupation takes away their childhood. And,
Yes.
and he says like, that's like one of the things that this movie does, it makes you understand the resistance. It makes you understand easily how a child could have taken the choice of becoming a resistance fighter.
Yes.
Like many times I said to myself like, fuck, if this would happen to me, I would.
Yes.
What would I do? What would I do? Like the viewer is constantly faced with like, what would I do if this happens to me? And it's not one attack, it's all your life. Like,
yes, your entire life is being oppressed by these soulless soldiers.
Yeah, and you think, and what do you think? And then Yuval comes, and by and large they accept him. They sometimes they confront him with stuff, but
there's a few moments in this movie where there is like a spark of a discussion.
Yeah,
and I don't know exactly what their artistic choices were there, but I know that they don't go into like they could. I'm sure that there were serious discussions being had there and being filmed. They didn't show any of them.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's an artistic choice, right?
Yeah, but there's a movement that one of the people tells him like, Yuval, your brothers and family are the people who are destroying our homes, and then you go and live with them, and you go and these are your people, and you go and you share. And you know, it kind of, I thought about it when we read the interview and what he was saying about, and
so I would just tell our audience there is an interview that Yuval Abraham gave to Ynet, which is like one of the most mainstream media channels in Israel. And he gave this interview 2 weeks before they won the Oscars, and we're going to read you some parts from this interview. It's very interesting. So just a preview for what is coming up next. But continue, please. Yes.
Yeah, and you see like the situation. So I think we're by and large now we're saying like the good impact that this movie does in many ways, and how strong emotional impact it had on us. And we are people who are relatively aware of the situation.
Yes, I must say that when I watched this movie, first of all, I learned new information that I did not know before.
Mm-hmm.
And second, I experienced the violence of Zionism, not the violence of the occupation, the violence of the occupation as an arm of the Zionist project. I experienced it in a way that I don't think that I experienced many times before in my life. It was like just seeing the fucking bulldozer. I heard about the bulldozers destroying houses thousands of times in my life, but seeing it happening before my eyes and knowing to some extent the people who this is happening to, and seeing them after and seeing them before and seeing how they deal with it and seeing it happen again and again and again and again and like feeling secondhand, but feeling their frustration of what is happening. This is something that I didn't experience before, not in this way. So again, this is something that the movie does very, very well and is very important and can bring more awareness even to people like us who have dedicated, a long time and a lot of energies to being aware. And just the caveat is that we are not experiencing it, okay? And this is the big difference. We don't experience it, so we have to watch movies to understand it, and we're doing our best, okay?
Yeah, and I must say, this is what, when I watch this movie and I look at Yuval, for example, in many ways, I have like, he's way more like, we're gonna give some criticism on stuff that, mainly on stuff that he said after.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to say how much I appreciate him for, knowing Arabic.
Yes.
Going there, build real connection. It's not something that Israelis are doing. I'm learning now, but in a way, in some aspect, he's like a role model for what I wish to do myself and
Yes.
what I think I wish more Israelis would do.
Yes. And at great risk to himself, at great personal risk to himself also. Like he is standing in front of the soldiers could shoot him as well. He doesn't have to be there. He doesn't have to put himself at risk, but he does put himself at risk. And we appreciate that he makes these choices.
And let's say also about the other, there's another Israeli there, the filmmaker Rachel Shur, who's doing it long time. I think she got no credit at all. It's also something
because she's like behind the camera.
She's behind the camera, but it's like, it's a bit weird to me that she got no credit. Maybe because she's a woman, or I don't know. It's something to talk about.
Maybe she chose not to be in the spotlight, but maybe that also has to do with the fact that she's a woman, so chooses to not be in the spotlight.
And the other cameraman, Hamdan, I don't remember.
Hamdan Balal.
Yeah, also Yuval got more fire. There's both sides to it.
Yes, maybe the choices that they made is because they didn't want to face the consequences that Yuval and Basel are now facing. It's something that we always have, also like deliberations between us and deliberations with our acquaintances and deliberations amongst ourselves. Like, how much do we want to expose ourselves and how much we are willing to face, criticism and not just criticism, but also, disgusting personal insults and dangers and lawsuits that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with a lawsuit, and like maybe we will be arrested because we're dissidents, all kinds of stuff that we need to think about all the time. Okay, and in this context, I will say very openly that one of the main reasons that I never did what Yuval Abraham and Rachel Shor are doing, which is go to these communities of Palestinians being oppressed in the West Bank and be with them and connect with them. One of the main reasons is that I'm scared. Okay, I'm a coward. Okay, I am scared of bodily harm. I am scared of stressful situations. I am scared of what I might do if I see a soldier, oppressing a Palestinian. If
you wouldn't control yourself.
I'm a little bit hot-headed when I go to like protests. Okay, I will be very open here. I'm a bit hot-headed. I tend to confront the policeman, and
not always it's the smartest thing to
when
do.
I go to a protest in Tel Aviv, what are they going to do to me? Okay, but if I go, I don't know what they will do to me, and to be honest, I am scared to go there. Okay, I am scared to go there. It is a thing that I am willing to admit. Okay, does it make me a better person, a worse person? I don't know. It's just a fact that I'm scared. Okay, and that I don't know if I want to risk myself in this way. I am obviously willing to risk myself in the sense that I'm speaking out against Zionism in a very public way, and who knows. היי, חבר'ה מהשב"כ, היי, מה קורה? חבר'ה מהמוסד, אני לא יודע, שצופים בנו עכשיו, היי, מה קורה? שתדעו שאני רק רוצה שהכל יהיה טוב, שאני רק רוצה שכולם יחיו כאן בשלום, שוויון, אחווה, ללא אלימות, ללא דיכוי, ללא עליונות. אני לא יודע אם אתם מסוגלים לשמוע כשאני אומר לכם את זה, אבל אל תעצרו אותי בבקשה, תודה רבה. I just asked the Mossad agents and Shin Bet agents not to arrest us, and I told them that I only want peace and love between everyone.
Cute.
Yeah, we're cute. We're not dangerous. No, we're not going to do anything. We're not dangerous. Sorry.
But in one sense, we are dangerous, and in one sense, even though we're not going to the front lines, and
don't tell them that.
Is that it's very hard in our society to speak the truth, and in that sense, I think we are. I don't like to give grades, but we're doing something that Yuval and activists who go a lot of time to the field don't do. And it's not that you can't do both. I think some people are doing both, like Jonathan Pollack and Ronnie.
And look where Jonathan Pollack is. Jonathan Pollack
is in jail now, or
he's an amazing anarchist activist, also vegan, by the way. Jonathan, if you're watching this, I love you. You're amazing. We respect you. We want to interview you. Please contact us if you're watching. If you happen to be watching this, Jonathan Pollack is now under house arrest for years now. He's like, he can't do anything. He can't do anything because he's being actively persecuted by the Zionist regime all the time for years now, years and years and years. Okay?
Yeah. But why is it? Why I think it is a thing? Because like if we last time we did this interview with Ronnie, and then a friend wrote us, "You people who do YouTube videos criticize the real activists who go to the ground."
Yes.
And I want to say to this friend who is, if he's there,
he called us the insane left. Meturlal. How would you even translate meturlal? It's like a code name that Zionists use to exclude anyone who's trying
and to try to kind of say that every radical leftist is like a woke identity politics. I think it's try to connect things.
It's not an accurate. It's vague intentionally. It's intentionally vague.
And I want to say that I don't know. Really, I don't know even one person almost among us, our society who lives here, who speak the truth. Like, I don't know, maybe Gaia that we interviewed.
Yeah, Gaia Dan. Watch the interview with Gaia Dan on the Yatta podcast.
And I'm not saying they don't exist, but they don't do it with their face out to the open. And I don't know a lot of them. There are more, but I'm saying like speak the truth in a way that is truly anti-Zionist, who's not like, who's trying to point at the things that they are. Because at the end, what happened, and I want to get to this, Yuval got to the Oscars.
Yes.
And to me, he said something that it's a lie. It's a serves the power structures. Yes. Even though he did a very good movie, he went there and on the biggest stage on Hollywood, he spoke
with millions of people.
He didn't point out the truth about the power structures that exist here. And that goes to show you that it's not that easy. Because even this activist you cannot say he's not brave. You cannot say he didn't put himself in danger. At the end of the day, when he had to go and speak in front of large audience, he said lies, and I want to explain why I think it's
But
a lie.
before you do it,
Yeah.
So Elik sent me a message this morning. It was a voice message on WhatsApp. After we've been discussing this topic for, I don't know, a week now, okay? We've been discussing this topic. I invested, like, I don't know, 100 hours of my life into discussing this movie and the concept of normalization and all this discussion already. And at some point, Elik was fed up, and you would not believe it, but Elik was upset. He was angry. He was upset, and he sent me a message with very interesting energies for Elik, and I want to play this message to you, okay? And I will put it close to the mic, and you can hear it's in Hebrew, so you will probably many of you will not understand what is being said, but I just want you to see the energies of what Elik sent me this morning, okay? Okay. So he starts with, listen, I'm really angry, okay?
וואי, תקשיב, אני ממש מחומם, ממש בא לי להיכנס ביובל אברהם, כוס עמק. פתאום אני כזה, כוס עמק, כאילו הוא עלה לבמה מול האוסקר, ומה שהוא עשה זה לשקר, ונמאס לי לשקר, כאילו. ואני כאילו יותר מבין ש... אם אתה משקר, אז מה שאתה עושה חסר ערך. די, צריך להגיד את זה, גם אם יתעצבנו, וגם אם כל מיני פסטרנקים יעלבו, כאילו, כי לא רוצים שיקלקלו להם את הדימוי של האקטיביסט הקדוש. צריך להגיד, כאילו צריך להפסיק לשקר, וכנראה שאי אפשר להיות במערכת הזאת, ואולי אפילו לחיות פה ולהיות דמות ציבורית
But it doesn't sound angry, it sounds quite chill. Even the other ones is more...
Hold on.
השקר כאילו מבחינתי זה לא...
Okay, never mind. I think that it does sound angry relative to the guy who's speaking, but
if this is the angry, so... No,
okay.
I think the other one was a bit more, but I can explain what...
Yeah, explain what you said.
Because I said I think he lied, and you asked me what he lied, and I said, like, okay, you go to the main...
The other one is angrier? Maybe let's...
תציג את המציאות as it is, אתה יודע שיש... להגיד, כן, יש את ה-Israeli hostages that must be released, כאילו, ואתה יודע, חשבתי על זה שכאילו, מה קורה פה בפועל? הרי ישראל חוטפת שנים, אלפי אנשים, עכשיו הם באו, חטפו כמה אנשים, הרבה פחות ממה שישראל חוטפת, ואמרו, אנחנו מוכנים להחזיר מיד, אם תחזירו את כל מי שהייתם אמורים להחזיר בכל מקרה. ואז ישראל יצאה, עשתה ג'נוסייד והורגת את החטופים של עצמה, ואם אתה לא חושף את זה, אתה שקרן, אתה פאקינג שקרן מניאק, כאילו. אני לא יודע מה יש לי, אני עצבני, כאילו.
It ended with, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm fucking upset. But what you said now, maybe the Mossad and the Shin Bet agents will take it as evidence that you need to be arrested.
Yeah. But fuck it, I want to say it, right?
Okay. So explain to the audience what you said.
Because Yuval went on this big stage and he said Israeli hostages must be released, and he did this. And you know, it's not, we can read after the interview, I guess he felt that he must say something like this, so he won't, I don't know, completely be ostracized by society and will have to lose everything he has. So we had to give something to the Israelis, right?
Mm-hmm.
To speak about our pain.
And spoiler alert, we're going to see it happen in real time very soon. Okay?
Yeah. So he said the crime of October 7th, the destruction of Gaza, and I thought about it. I had many thoughts while I was walking, and then I thought about this hostage thing, okay?
Yeah.
And I thought, like, fuck, what's happening here is that Israel is kidnapping and taking hostage for years.
For decades.
For decades.
For the entire existence of Israel.
Yeah, and putting people in jail without saying to the Palestinians, we'll release them if you do this and this. Just taking them and say, because we are the masters.
Yes.
And we can, so we do it because we can in order to frighten you so you don't raise up your heads. That's what they do.
Yes, and a statistic that I heard is that ever since the state of Israel was formed, 1 million Palestinians were held in Israeli prisons in administrative arrest, which means that they are just kidnapped and just held with no trial, not even a bogus trial, nothing. They just take them and they hold them. They take them as hostages, and they are being held as hostages in horrible conditions, way worse conditions than the Israeli hostages in Hamas captivity, for years and decades sometimes, and sometimes they die in Israeli captivity, okay?
Yeah, and you can claim that the whole Palestinian population is held hostage, right?
Yes.
Also in a bigger sense. Like,
yes,
they put people in jail inside of the jail that they created them, which is their whole existence, because all their physical space and everything is controlled by an army that can decide one day, you don't go here, you don't go there. Like, it's the space is like, so. But let's take just the really physical hostage taking.
yes,
And then, so they do it, and then they demonize every form of resistance. And you see it in the movie too. Like, some guy there is getting shot because he was trying to protect a generator. They shot him, and he's becoming paralyzed, and then
he's one of the main characters in the movie, even though he speaks very little in the movie. This is one of the most heartbreaking storylines of this movie. You see this guy who just they need the generator because they don't have electricity, because you won't connect them to electricity and you will destroy their houses that are somehow connected to electricity. So they have to live in a cave, and they have to use a generator to have electricity in the cave to operate the refrigerator in the cave. And then you want to take away their generator, which they use for life, for like basic necessities, and then this guy protects the generator with his body. He's like, don't take my fucking generator. He's speaking to the fucking Nazi soldiers who want to take his generator so that he doesn't have food. And then when he tries to keep the generator, they shoot him and they make him paralyzed for his entire life from the fucking neck down. Fuck.
And then he dies after, at the end, like, because he cannot take it anymore. I think he dies from depression. And this happens, and you think, and they say, and the people say, no, don't kill, to Palestinians, don't kill civilians, do attack soldiers. Well, they do, right? Don't do unarmed resistance, do peaceful resistance. They do it for years, and you still do. So you push them to a situation that at some point they say, fuck it, you still are, you take. So they take hostages, and what did they did when they took the hostages? Day after, they say, immediately we release all of them if you release the hostages that you took from us, that you had to free from the first place, because you didn't have right to take them in the first place.
Yes.
And then what Israel does, that's what I said in the message, it goes, kills, doing genocide, kills its own hostages, and like, so, and if you come on a world stage and you don't point this reality,
if you say, release the hostages, they wanted to release the hostages. Hamas wanted to release the hostages on October 8th, on October 9th, I don't know exactly, but they've been wanting to release the hostages ever since this started. There was a document on the table of Benjamin Netanyahu, okay? There was a document on his table. It's still there for 2 years, okay? For a year and a half, whatever it is. The document is waiting. They're telling Benjamin Netanyahu, release our hostages. We will release the hostages that we took. Benjamin Netanyahu and the entire country of Israel, the entire state of Israel said, no, fuck you. That's what they said. Fuck you.
Because we are the masters. We are the strong ones. We will not surrender to terrorists or whatever. And so the thing is that if you want to be an ally to the Palestinians, this is exactly the things that you need to fight. You need to find these fake symmetries. You need to fight this, like, demonization of resistance. You understand that the colonizer is the one who pushes them into the need to take armed resistance, and this is something that if you don't do, and if you don't agree to say out loud, out loud, and it doesn't matter.
And very clearly and explicitly.
And very clearly and explicitly, you're not an ally. Sorry, like you're doing something, but at the end, your words matter, and your position and the stance you take matter. And you know, it's hard for me to judge Yuval because we are not so big. I don't know. If suddenly I would face the backlash, maybe I would back up because of fear. I don't know. It's scary, but you need to. But what I thought that saying truth, people who judge us and say, "Oh, you're just making YouTube." Let's see the people who say it. I heard it from people who don't come and speak out loud the truth and say, "Yeah, we're not playing this game." No, we're not condemning the. I don't condemn Hamas for taking hostages. Sorry, I don't. And fuck it, you know, like I'm sorry. If you want me to condemn them, release their hostages first, and then if they would take hostages after you release the hostages, I will condemn them. But if you push them to situation that this is their only way to free their hostages, you are the one to be blamed. And of course, the people who were kidnapped to Gaza are victims, but they're victims of Zionism.
Yes.
And I'm tired of trying to appeal to people and to say like, no, this is horrible in order so that they will accept me. Fuck it. That's where my anger came from. I'm like, and you know, I don't know what they
because we are being required to lie all the time. We're being demanded to lie all the time, and we face threats to our well-being because we want to say the truth unequivocally and unfiltered. And Yuval, we appreciate you. You know what? We wanted to speak to Yuval directly in this live session. And we're going to speak to Yuval directly sometimes in this live session. And I want to say to you, Yuval, you're doing amazing work, okay? You're doing amazing work. But you, my friend, are still plagued with the virus called Zionism. You are still part of the cult called Zionism. The cult, the virus, is still controlling your mind and making you act in very specific ways. We will see exactly how this works very soon, because we will read an interview with Yuval Abraham where we will just see exactly how this operates, okay? You are still part of the machine. I know that you have a good heart. I know that you have a good mind. I know that you have good intentions. I know that you want to help. If you want to help, listen to us. Listen to us. You are still not freed from Zionism, and this makes you not a real ally of the Palestinian people and not a true activist to free Palestine. Maybe we are still not true activists to free Palestine. And if we are not, we are willing to hear this criticism and we want to change for the better and to become better activists to free Palestine. If you truly care about freeing Palestine, Yuval, listen to our criticism. We know that you want to be a true ally to Basel and to all the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Please understand that this is important, that this is not purism, that this is not being petty, that this is not just we want to criticize from our convenient place. No, this is important, and we will explain to you, Yuval, why this is very important and why you have to shift, why you have to change the way that you act and speak if you want to be a true ally of the Palestinian people.
Yeah, and it's not about wanting ourselves to be pure. I think it's way more narcissistic to like, no, I will not condemn. He's. Are we dealing with ourselves, with people, with personalities, or are we dealing with truth, or are we dealing with what's going on? And you need to, if you want to act for the truth and say the truth and push forward, you need to have the guts to face criticism, but also to criticize. You know, and that's something to me, because a lot of time I'm like, I don't want to criticize, because the moment you criticize somebody else, people tell you like, who are you to criticize? You are this. It doesn't have to do about me.
Yes,
like I can criticize. The question if my criticism is true or not, it doesn't matter. Even if I didn't do anything, if I say something that is true, So relate to what I say.
Yes.
What it doesn't matter who the fuck am I, you know? Like,
yes. Otherwise, it's just a matter of egos, and we are not about egos here, and we're not trying to say that Yuval is good or bad or whatever,
or that we're better than him.
It does not matter. We want the struggle to succeed. We want the struggle to be effective. We don't want to fall into the traps of the system, and we will talk very in a very detailed way about how the system uses the situation to take activists who really care and to make them less effective than they could be. And we want to be effective, okay? We want all of us to be effective. We want to have solidarity. We want to be united, and we want to be effective in our resistance against Zionism. And Yuval, you are not as effective as you could be. You got to this stage. One second, I need to finish this thought. You got to this stage of the Oscars where hundreds of millions of people were watching you, and instead of saying things as they are, instead of telling the truth, you said something that is not exactly the truth. And it's the fact that it's not exactly the truth makes it just as bad as a lie, okay? Yeah. And because the system thrives on lies, the truth is the worst enemy of systems of control, domination, supremacy, hierarchy. This is the worst enemy of the system, the truth. And you had a chance to tell the truth to hundreds of millions of people. Basel Adra told the truth. You did not. You blew it. You missed this chance. And the reason that you missed this chance is because you are still controlled by the Zionist cult.
But this is something I want to raise to you.
Yeah.
Can we live here and be part of this society and still, like, in a point that I feel it's a bit impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even just saying that I don't condemn Hamas, or like, I'm scared.
It's scary. Yeah, it's scary.
I know not too many people see it, but you see now we have 70 viewers. Sometimes the most of the people who watch this are not from, but I don't know, think about the stuff we're dealing with, the shit that you were dealing with.
Yes.
Like if somebody sees it, it's like, and I'm tired of not saying the truth. Like it's like, and the thing is that I feel there's many layers to de-Zionizing yourself, and many, so one of them is, and this is something we need to talk about too, is understanding the issue of the Palestinian refugees and understanding that the occupation that is shown in the movie is not the whole thing. It's only part of a larger picture. This is one.
It's an end result of something much, much bigger.
But one that is really, really important is to understand that the thing about the demonization of the Palestinian resistance. And I know many people who tell to me, okay, we're against the genocide, but Hamas are evil. They're evil guys. They did evil stuff. They're, you know, and I feel like that this is a crucial point. It's not a small point. And it's not about condoning everything that they do, but it's understanding that this demonization
is a
tool, and it's one of the main tools. And if you don't say it like, fuck it, no,
I'm not playing this game.
I'm not playing this game anyway. You push them into a situation where they had no choice, and their only choice was to embrace this demonization, and this is what they're doing. It's
you mentioned the play Wicked, right?
Yeah,
the musical Wicked.
In Denial did a really good. And I really recommend watch his this YouTube video that he did about Wicked, because it really shows you what happens, how demonization works, that you push person to a situation, it's that their only choice is to embrace the evil character that it's been pushed over, and to go all the way.
Yes.
And it's really, I really see how it happens, you know, like that when you demonize people in this way, and there is and I think every colonization does it. It's integral part of a
Because it
colonization.
works, so they will use it. They will use whatever they can if it works, and it works, so they use it. Okay.
Yeah, and if you want to stand with the colonized people and say no, the aggressor is the colonizer. Sorry, it's not, and it's not that you have to agree with everything that the resistance does, but you need to resist the demonization that's being done to them. And I feel it's a very crucial point, and it's a point that I see no Israel is willing to cross, like literally none. Like
very few,
very few, because
dozens maybe throughout Israel, dozens maybe, and people were saying this out loud and publicly, like we are. Just us,
because it's like
right?
saying that
just us and Gaia. I don't know who else is talking, but who else is an Israeli, has Israel on their passport, is Jewish, living in Israel and speaking out publicly on with their faces on camera against Zionism, directly against Zionism. I don't know many people who are doing this.
Yeah, I don't know, not a lot. So and we also get criticism for doing it in English. Many people will say, and I want to argue that saying it in English is also more scary, actually.
Yeah,
because it's more directing this. Like, of course, you also get more love when you speak in English, but Zionists can take you when you speak to them. They're like, it's in this internal.
They will insult you.
They will insult you, but they won't target you as the enemy. And I think many people distance themselves from me because I'm speaking in English.
Yes.
And I feel like when you get out of this fucking culture, like, why shouldn't I speak English or in any language? If it's the truth, it doesn't matter what language you speak, right? And if it's a cult, so you need to speak to the outside world. You need to, and I'm saying it both in Hebrew and in English and in any language that I speak.
When I was in Barcelona, I said it in Spanish. I don't remember the slogans, but I shouted slogans in Spanish in Barcelona.
The truth needs to be spoken in any language.
Yes.
But I think, like, in some way, if I'm looking it by and large, I think like saying it in English in a way is more effective for the struggle. At the point we are, I'm not saying forever. There at some point.
We're gonna have to talk to Zionists at some point when they get like a few rungs down the tree that they climb.
And then they will also become more open to it. But now I don't see a lot of point in doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all. Just so you know, Elik writes a lot on Facebook in Hebrew. We have like this split personality thing. I had it when I used to actually speak to Zionists. I stopped a few months after October 2023.
Because you did it a lot also before. Right?
Yeah, I did it a lot, and then I was like, okay, it doesn't. There's no point. But Elik still speaks in Hebrew on Facebook to Zionists.
I feel I have to do it. Yeah, I feel it's still. I feel part of my mission is to show to keep put the mirror into their faces. Like it's important.
And what Elik did a few days ago was say just 5 words of your own and then quote our friend Muhammad, who lives in Deir al-Balah refugee camp in Gaza, and told us a story. And we're having another conversation with him. We will record this conversation right after we finish this live, and it will be on the Yalla podcast on Elik's channel, Sound of Anarchy. And he told us a story about something that happened to his acquaintances, to his friends, to his relatives. I don't remember exactly. You will see the story. He will tell us this story on camera. I will ask him to tell this story. And Elik got so much like hatred from Zionists for just putting this story out there. They said that he was, crazy, that he is a traitor, blah, 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 blah. And like, all you did was just put the story out there.
Yeah.
And, it seems to me like the reactions that you're getting are becoming even more aggressive. Like they said, we're traumatized because of October 7th. Give us time. We gave you time. We gave you more than a year and a half almost now. and you're just becoming worse and worse and worse. I don't know. Maybe you need to see someone who will help you deal with the trauma. I don't know. It's becoming worse. Maybe an intervention is in order. I don't know. You are a danger to yourself and to others, not just a danger.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know. I think I will keep writing in Hebrew.
Yes, it's important.
It's
Yes.
important. And a friend after told me, she told me, listen, what you're doing is important, but people are feeling you're just dismissing their fears, dismissing their traumas, dismissing their, as if they didn't experience anything. And it's not that I don't have these fears, people, like a friend wrote me, look what they're doing now to Alawites in Syria. Look what will happen to us if your vision of democracy for all will happen. The Palestinians will become the rulers.
Yes, geopolitical ignorance being used to justify a genocide.
Yeah. So first of all, they don't understand Syria, and I don't either, but I don't use it. But it made me think, what happened in Syria is not what we're talking about, right? It's not that
we're talking about the cure for this. We're talking about the way to prevent this.
What happened in Syria is that when you don't cure a situation, when minority rule in a very brutal way the majority of the country, and the only way it's changed is by
violence.
So that's what happens. And if Zionists will continue, the bigger the chance that what they fear of.
Yeah, every day that you continue oppressing the Palestinians and not work towards an actual solution, not a two-state solution, Yuval, not a two-state solution, but an actual solution, which is one democratic state for all inhabitants between the river and the sea, with equality, with justice, with right of return for Palestinians, which is another thing that we need to criticize Yuval for not emphasizing. And you had a take about this, you will say it. Every day that you do not do this, you create a situation where the reaction will be even more violent, even more dangerous.
I like it that when there's another Yuval, because it was Yuval Noah Harari.
Yes.
Yuval. We need to.
I don't know what it is about this name.
Number two, just very common name. We a bit prefer the second Yuval to the first.
Oh, the second Yuval is much better than the first Yuval. Yuval Abraham. We love you. We appreciate you. Please come join us. Join the side of justice. We have vegan cookies.
Because we don't feel you're cynical like the first Yuval.
No. He truly cares. He truly cares.
Yeah.
He might not be as good as an intellectual as Yuval Noah Harari, or at least he might not be as good a fake intellectual as Yuval Noah Harari, but Yuval Abraham has heart and has spirit, and I am counting on it, and I truly believe that very soon he will take the extra steps. And this leads me to an answer to the question that you asked. What about us? Or what about anyone who is still living in occupied Palestine as an Israeli Jew? Can we truly de-Zionize ourselves? Can we truly deprogram ourselves? So my first answer is that we can never completely deprogram ourselves from Zionism, no matter where we are and no matter what we do, because we were born into this cult. And this is something that is ingrained. The propaganda and the brainwashing is ingrained deep in our consciousness. It will never be completely healed. Okay?
Yeah.
I acknowledge this.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so. Not completely.
Yeah,
but
like the Palestinians will never be healed from, like the one who lived under the Zionist occupation. They will never be entirely healed from the traumas that this... Even, and maybe their look, we're not healed from the Holocaust.
Yes. No, it's just festering more and more. This is an open wound. You put a bandage on it. You put a ghetto on it.
But that's the thing, that healing is a process that can occur when there is good intentions to heal it. Like if there's a system of imperialism and propaganda who keeps opening up the wound, so it can run out for 10 generations to come, and it's not going to be healed. But it's the same, but the trauma is real. Like trauma is like material that you can sculpture with to your needs.
Yes, they use the trauma. Okay, but let me continue the thought. The thought is we can never heal completely from Zionism. but we can work on becoming slightly better every single day.
Yeah.
And I think we are. For example, not long ago, I was not as aware of the centrality of the refugee issue in the Palestinian struggle. And then we spoke with Muhammad, and this opened the gate. And I started thinking about this more and more and more. And now I think I see it much more clearly, the centrality of the refugee issue and the centrality of right of return.
Yeah.
Okay? It's something that I learned, and I am willing, not just willing, but eager to learn more and more and more about the problems here in the land between the river and the sea where I was born. And I want to learn about this so that I can become slightly better every single day and work more effectively towards the goal of freeing Palestine truly every single day. And let's just say this, none of us are, perfect. None of us know everything about what's going on here, and none of us are maximally effective. We should all strive to be just a little bit better every single day and just a little bit more effective every single day. And there are barriers to this when you live in occupied Palestine, when you live inside the cult, the Zionist cult, because the Zionist cult continues to intimidate you and to brainwash you. But there are also advantages to living here, because I now feel like I am an expert in fascism, in how fascism rises, in how fascism operates, in how fascism, leads to genocide, in all the intricate mechanisms of this. I think I can now write, a book about this, just because of our
Maybe
experiences
you
living
should.
here. I should.
You
At some
should.
point, probably I would. But the point, maybe our podcast is a kind of document that documents our experiences inside the Zionist cult. And I think that this is also very important. Okay, there is a discussion to be had here. You want to go to the article to read the interview with Yuval Abraham?
You don't want to take some comments or questions or whatever?
I'm following the comments. We don't see it on the chat on the computer, but I see it on my phone. That's why I'm looking at my phone sometimes. But I didn't see anything that we really need. Like, it's a good discussion that's happening here, and it's good. But I think we need to concentrate on really talking about this issue. Okay, so I will just say something very general. This issue of normalization has been at the heart of the discussion around this movie. And Elik and I spent.
Check my shoulder.
Okay. So Elik and I had a lot of discussions around this, and we think that we have a lot of relevant thoughts about what normalization is, how normalization operates, why normalization is dangerous, how to avoid normalization, why it is a tool that the system uses to dampen and restrict our ability to resist the system, and so forth and so on. So we want to use the rest of the time that we have in this live session to deal with the specific question of normalization in the context of this movie, No Other Land, like as a very interesting case study for what normalization is and how it operates. But we also have plans to record an entire episode of the One State Solution podcast. We started doing episode, like the podcast has been going in the direction of every single episode we choose a topic, and we kind of go deeply into this topic. So, for example, we did an episode about what colonization is, okay? What colonialism is. And
I feel already we need to do another one.
Yes.
Every subject is like,
yeah, it's endless. It's an endless discussion, and we will continue because it's an endless discussion. But we feel that it is very important to do an episode about normalization. And I will tell you why it's important. Because I feel that the nuanced, deep discussion about normalization, what the meaning of normalization is, why it's important, and how it operates, is not being had enough in the movement to free Palestine and in radical liberation movements in general, because it's a subject that crosses all these liberation movements. I don't think it's an accident. I think all liberation movements share a lot in common, a lot of dynamics in common. And for example, it's a very important issue that is being discussed a lot in the community of activists to liberate non-human animals. But even though it's being discussed a lot, I don't think it's being discussed well enough, and I don't think that it's being discussed enough even in this movement. Okay, so we think that this subject deserves more serious discussion, so that more people understand how these things operate, so that we can resist more effectively. Okay, so this is the kind of discussion that we want to have now. As a case study in the case of No Other Land, but we will do a deeper dive into this in an upcoming episode of the One State Solution podcast. We plan to record it this week. Hopefully, we will succeed in this. Elik, any more comments before we go into this interview?
I felt like somebody knocked, isn't it?
Okay, I don't know. You want to take, maybe let's take 5 minutes break. 5 minutes break, and we will return in 5 minutes, okay? And maybe I will answer some comments. There was a knock at the door. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so I will take some comments. I will answer some comments. It's very hard to keep the show going, guys. Okay, let me see. Oh, wow, a lot of things were written in the chat. In the latest Bad Hasbara, Simone Zimmerman had some really good things to say about the Israeli activists who were part of the documentary. Okay, so I didn't watch this episode of Bad Hasbara, but you saw, we're not saying that the creators of this film are bad, okay? We're just saying that we need to notice some limitations in the way that they conducted themselves, and we're saying that if we notice this better, we can be more effective in our resistance. And this movie, make no mistake, is part of the resistance movement against Zionism, of the movement to free Palestine, okay? So if we want to be more effective, then we need to take notice of these shortcomings, and now we're going to talk about this. Okay.
You're reading comments.
Yeah, Elik, you want to shut the door, or what do you say?
I have to take few stuffs.
Okay. Okay, so this is what it means to do live sessions. It's a bit raw.
I have a guest in my house. So,
Okay. Any more comments? I think that the movie is very powerful in showing that reality and bringing awareness and curiosity from people who don't know what is happening to go search more information.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I also agree.
I agree that I think that when people watch this movie, there can be a lot of different reactions to the movie depending on who is watching, and some people can take it as an opportunity to investigate more and to get to the root of the problem and to identify that Zionism is at the root of the problem. But we're going to show you some examples of people who use it. Okay, so liberal Zionists can use this movie and can watch this movie, and they can come away with the conclusion that the occupation is wrong, which they already arrived with. Okay,
Yeah.
Liberal Zionists really love to say, I am against the occupation. And what do they mean when they say the occupation? They mean the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. Okay.
Yeah, and now already look that they even pushed Gaza out of the equation.
Yes.
Because Gaza,
it's a different thing.
It's a different thing. So it's only the occupation of the West Bank.
Yes.
So you see that when you isolate, it could be also only these few communities, and all the rest is fine.
Yeah. And
they
why?
try to disconnect. We talked about it in the beginning. They try to disconnect the dots and win. And this movie is not saying to you anything. It's not saying this is the only thing. It's showing you a piece of the. It's your job to
connect
the
dots.
dots,
Yeah.
and to research and to.
But why do liberal Zionists really like to criticize the occupation? Because the occupation is something that the settlers do. Okay, those bad settlers, not us, liberal Zionists. We're good.
Yeah.
We're on the side of the Palestinians. We are against the evil settlers. We are against the evil government cooperating with the evil settlers who are creating all the problems. If it was just us, then everything would be okay. And again, let's be radically honest. Both Elik and myself were stuck for, I would say, years, long years,
on this worldview.
Yes, in this place of liberal Zionism, of thinking that the problem is the occupation, of thinking that the problem are the settlers, of thinking that we are not part of the problem, okay? And it is a big question whether this political position of liberal Zionism is a step on the way to something more radical and more true and more effective, or something that prevents you from getting there. Maybe if the system of liberal Zionism was not in place, Elik and I would get to the radical place much faster.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. For me, it's still, like some being exposed to the horrors of happens nowadays made me want to know what is the source of the violence. And then I read also about the Nakba and what happened. So,
but you read it only 2 years ago.
Yeah, I read it only 2 years ago.
For years, you were stuck in this place. Maybe I know. I look at myself and I know that I have like this radical seed inside me, and I think that this was a block for me. I truly look at myself and I'm like, why didn't I go anti-Zionist sooner? And I think that part of the thing that was blocking me was this point of view of liberal Zionism, where we don't talk about the Nakba, where we don't talk about Zionism as a colonialist project, where we do talk about apartheid, where we do talk about occupation, but we don't talk about the root of the problem. It's something that was in some ways convenient for me, okay?
And the occupation is like something that Israel does. It's not something that Israel is.
Yes.
Like that's the difference.
Okay, so let's read the interview with Yuval. I have it here on my computer, and I already translated it to English with Google Translate.
Wow. You did a good job.
Okay.
You're gonna share it, or how do you do it?
No, we're gonna read it. We're gonna read it. Oh, hold on. Why is it not translating? 1 second. 1 second. Okay. Okay. So the title of this is an interview that that Ynet, a mainstream news website in Israel, the most mainstream news website in Israel, did with Yuval Abraham about 2 weeks before they won the Oscar, and it was published 1 day after. Okay. So let's start reading it. Maybe Elik, you can read Yuval's answers. Okay, you can play Yuval. Okay.
Are we reading the whole thing?
We will start by reading some of it, and then we will skip. Okay. We created a film that doesn't go well down the throats of either side. Mm-hmm. This is the title of the interview.
Yeah. So any language that we speak about both sides, kind of, yeah.
This is literal both sides. Okay. Yeah. Interesting in what context. This is a quote. Okay, this is a quote. Why is this happening? There's some problems with the website. Hold on. Okay. 2 weeks before Yuval Abraham made Israeli history at the Oscars with the controversial documentary No Other Land, he addressed the storm his film caused, knowing that most of the country preferred him to return empty-handed. And I already have something to say about this. This is tasty. Because, okay, many of our viewers don't really know Israeli society, but I will tell you something about Israeli society. Is whenever something happens in the world, Israelis, and especially in like news reports about this, they love to say, oh, and there is an Israeli angle to this story. So the cousin of the neighbor of someone who used to work with the guy who won this award, he spent 2 months in a kibbutz in Israel, and he spoke very well about his time here in Israel. They go out of their way
to show that there is something Israeli there.
Yeah, they love to be proud of Israeli achievements, and they love to be proud of Israeli achievements even when it's not Israelis who achieved these achievements, and they love to, speak to present the achievements as much more than they are, and so forth and so on. They love it, okay? They get off on it. And see what happened. What happened is that an actual Israeli creator, Yuval Abraham, won the Oscars, and now all of Israeli society cannot be happy about this. It finally happened. You finally won the Oscars, and you cannot be happy about it. Oh, the sweet irony that it's poetic. It's poetic. It's amazing. I love it. I just love it that the Israelis can now not take credit. They will not take credit for it. I think it's just wonderful. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, in the interview, he talks about how about the family and so about the prices, the social prices that he had to pay for his political positions. He asks the mainstream in Israel to give him another chance before calling him a traitor, and also he makes a promise which he kept on stage at the Oscars ceremony. Interesting. Okay, Elik, you want to read the first paragraph of the article?
Yuval Abraham's family WhatsApp group was silent when the Oscar nominations were announced, and it was revealed that his film No Other Land, because it's good was nominated for the Best Documentary Feature Award. There are people in my family who vote Likud, Ben Gvir, and settlers as well, he says.
So Likud is the ruling party in the Israeli government, the one ran by Benjamin Netanyahu, okay? The prime minister of Israel.
Some of the people in my family congratulated me privately, writing, I don't agree with you, but well done. That day, the filmmakers, Avraham, his Israeli partner, Rachel Shore, and his 2 Palestinian partners, Basel Adra and Hamdan Bilal, chose to open the film in question for free viewing in Israel in the local call website.
In the 972 magazine.
Yeah, when Avraham has worked for years as a conscientious journalist.
Yeah, we love this expression, conscientious journalist.
Yeah. What does it say about others?
So most journalists, they're not conscientious. Yeah. They don't have a conscience, but Yuval, he's a special journalist. He has a conscience.
Yeah, most of them try to conceal the truth, and he's trying to reveal it.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
Yeah. Let's continue. Okay. Let's do the thing that they do in music concerts and pull the microphone out. Ooh, we're professionals now. Okay. Tell me if you can hear us well. Tell me if the sound is good. This is a new microphone, okay? Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. This happened almost a year after the Israeli audience was first introduced to the film, which depicts the struggle of Palestinian residents of the southern Hebron Hills against the demolition of their homes. When it was shown at the Berlin Film Festival and surprisingly won the Documentary Feature Award. At the time, he made headlines for his extremely critical speech against Israel and the apartheid, which he said was being carried out in the occupied territories in the West Bank. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Is it Yuval's position that the apartheid only exists in the West Bank, or is it Yuval's position that the apartheid is throughout all of Israel, Palestine, between the river and the sea? Because it is our position that the apartheid is something that's happening between the river and the sea, right? Mm-hmm. So interesting. Okay. So at the time he made headlines, blah, 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 blah. The interview with Abraham was conducted about 2 weeks ago, and tonight this long journey ended with the film winning the Oscar for Best Documentary. Okay, and I think this is already a place where we can ask the question. What was said in the speech where they won in Germany 1 year ago, and what was said in the speech that Yuval said at the Oscar ceremonies? Okay, and there were differences. Mm-hmm. And Indy Nile did a very good video about normalization, okay, in regards to this movie No Other Land, and he said that there were differences between the two speeches, and it's a question: what happened? What happened? Why were there differences? And maybe we can find a clue in this interview. Okay, interesting. So let's see. So maybe I will read the questions and you will read Yuval's answers, okay? What does a Passover Seder look like in the Abraham family after such an event? Did they sit with you at all at the table?
Sure. I don't talk about what I do, but I tell them that I practice on climbing wall.
Like
on a climbing wall.
Like, I don't know, it's a sport. I don't know the term in English for this.
Which this is very familiar to us, right?
Yes.
Like, I also don't tell them I do this, and they ask me, what do you do? Like, I teach music,
Yes.
Like, I don't talk about it.
I find myself not being able to talk about anything or that has to do with my life, with my family, because anything I talk about is somehow related to my activism against Zionism. So it turns out that I can just smile and nod. I talk a lot less in family gatherings than I used to talk.
Yeah. They tell me other things they do. After drinking a lot of wine, things start to come out.
Yeah.
But by and large, both sides understand that we have common interest in maintaining peace in the home, and family is a supreme value. The family is a supreme value. It's a strong thing in
Israeli culture.
In Israeli culture.
Yes, and we have to remember that Yuval is from Be'er Sheva, and Yuval is of Arab descent.
Yeah.
Jewish Arab descent. Okay, we will see this very soon. He talks about this, and maybe family values are even more important in this section of society. Mm-hmm. But already I think that this is very interesting, that he's saying that family is very important. Okay, yeah. Family is very important to him. Mm-hmm. And all of his family are Zionists.
Yeah.
So maybe the Zionist cult will operate through his family to influence him just a little bit. Maybe, right? Yes. I don't know.
Sometimes I feel one cannot be truly free if you don't a bit break from your family in some level.
Yeah.
But that's another discussion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's continue. Have your family watched the film?
Some. The truth is that since we opened the film for viewing, dozens, if not hundreds, of comments have come in every day. I'm most happy to receive comments from people who write to me that they don't share my worldview, but that the film was important to them and they learned new things. You had something to say.
Yeah. I was like, okay. So what is what is important? We don't want to dismantle Zionism. We don't want to free Palestine. What do we want? We want to educate a few Zionists. Okay, this is the most important thing that we can do, so that they learn a few new things. This is our goal, really. That the Zionists can watch the film and say, very interesting. I learned some new things about the world.
No, but I understand him that when I feel I cracked something or someone who was completely blocked to this truth is becoming more open, it does feel like an achievement. I must say that this is we always have this thing that what is more important for me, to belong to my community of birth, or to be part of the struggle for liberation. And I'm not sure these goals can work together.
Yes.
And I'm coming more and more to the place that it's like, I don't know, like, I did the debate with a Zionist friend a few days. It's actually exists on the internet, like with Arnon. He posted it, another one.
Okay, I didn't watch
It's long and it's a bit like it's too much because it's really long, and half of the debate is about method of arguing. But
so you do speak about Zionism in Hebrew as well.
Yeah, I do. But then I feel like it draws you into this.
Someone watched it. One of our viewers watched it.
Ah, really?
Interesting. You are surprised, man. Maybe it got more traction than you think.
Yeah, okay. I would like to hear what you say about it. Like, I heard and I thought, like, wow, all the beginning is so long and it's just about his method of discussing, and I was like, at some point, who is going to really watch the whole thing? But he's a really good guy, and he's really nice, and he's really open to discussion than most of the people I know. And we had the whole discussion about that. What's the point? Is my point to feel good and have discussion with Zionists and to make them a little bit, or I understand that this is urgent and we have to do what's effective, not what feels good, like.
Yeah, they're saying that the microphone sounds better when it's in front of us. I think that if we do it like this, it will be very good. Maybe it will block a little bit of the screen, but our audience will have to deal with that. So let's put it.
Okay, Andy said that. I don't know if it's she or he. Andy. I commented. I will check your comments. Thank you for saying. I didn't know like people watched it. I didn't get into the video.
Okay, let's continue with the interview.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there were responses that were less happy.
Of course, with family, less so because, as mentioned, they know how to keep it.
How to keep it outside of the family discussion. They know how to not talk about. This is a trick that a lot of Zionist families use when there is a dissident in the family. They just don't talk about it. They just ignore the existence of the dissident in their family, because otherwise, my father says this very explicitly. If you talk about what you do in family gatherings, we will not have any family gatherings anymore. And unfortunately, he is correct. He is factually correct.
He said it explicitly to you?
Yes. Wow. He said it explicitly. Maybe let's go like this. Maybe let's do it like this. Maybe this is better. Okay. Yes. Okay, but he says another thing, right?
With friends, it's different. I grew up in Omer.
Oh, so what is Omer?
A settlement of... Wow.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so in Hebrew it doesn't say settlement.
But maybe the English is correct.
Yes, the English is correct. It is a settlement. So this is a small town next to Beersheba. And it's a thing that many Israeli pilots, the ones who join the IDF, the Air Force, become pilots, and then they go in the plane and they fly over Gaza and they drop bombs over Gaza, and maybe they feel a slight shake in the wing of the plane, and maybe that shake that they feel in the wing of the plane is a result of a family being wiped out of existence. Maybe. A town of pilots. Elik? Here.
Maybe you read now, because I'm a bit tired from reading.
Okay. So you read the questions, and I will read. I will play Yuval's.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of people have got contact with me, which we know very well, right?
Yeah.
We know it very well. One wrote to me recently, "I'm ashamed to have known you. That's the most hurtful." And we experienced this, right? We experienced people who are close friends, who used to be close friends, who tell us really, really hurtful things, like, "I'm ashamed." Maybe I heard this specific phrase. Maybe I heard similar things.
I didn't. But then I realized that the one that don't do this to me, the moment they are honest, they say such nasty stuff that I don't know if it's like makes any difference if they're trying to pretend that we're still friends. Like I had an experience with a friend who told me like, "Sure, come and have coffee with me in my house and invite you." I thought that's really nice. And I told him, "Okay, but if we want to have conversation, let's try. I will listen to you and you try to listen to me." And then he gave me such a nasty rant about me and about what I do. And I was like,
"So why did you invite me over?"
Yeah, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not into abusive relationships. You want to talk to me, so treat me with respect." And then it made me feel like maybe even the people who not cutting off relationship with you are not truly, they don't do it out of truly respect. They kind of want to keep this pretense that we're, I don't know, like it made me really frustrated.
But let's say the relevant thing, I think, which is that it's not just a danger to anyone who is a dissident and who is an anti-Zionist. It's a fact. It's just a deterministic thing that will happen once you start speaking out against the cult, once you start speaking out against Zionism. What will happen, and you know that it will happen because it happened to people around you, what will happen is that your friends will no longer be your friends. They might pretend for a short while that they are still your friends, but you will know that they are not your friends. And you will have the choice to either keep everything inside and keep the fake peace, okay? Or to speak out and to expose the tension and the divide and the chasm that opened up between you two when you stepped out of the cult and started speaking out against the cult. So this is the thing. This is how it operates. You know that if you really speak out against the cult, you will lose all your friends. And losing all your friends, it might not be the worst thing in the world, but it's really, really, really bad. It's something that leaves you isolated and lonely and depressed. And I know that it had a very deep effect on my own mental well-being. And I know that I was in very dark places because of this thing that happened to me, that I lost all my friends because I stepped out of the cult and started speaking out against the cult. And Yuval knows this as well. And Yuval is afraid of this. And you know what? I understand his fear. It's a justified fear. It's something that is very hard to deal with.
It's very hard to deal with, yeah.
Okay. So we said, "I'm ashamed to have known you." That's the most hurtful. There's a big difference between reading an angry, an angry comment online, and there are thousands of them, and someone we've been and hearing this from someone who I've known for such a long time. It's hard because even though I'm a leftist, I still see myself as part of Israeli society.
Yeah.
My worldview stems from the fact that the people here are important to me, and this place is important to me, and I want it to change. Okay, so Yuval sees himself as part of Israeli society. This includes two statements. One, there is such a thing as Israeli society, and two, he feels that he is part of it. And maybe we want to speak directly to Yuval now, right?
What do you want to say? Like, what do you mean? But that there is no such thing in Israeli society. It's
So it's not that I'm saying directly and exclusively that there is no such thing as Israeli society. There is such a thing as Israeli society.
I think there is none. Now, when I think about it, it's a mixture of immigrants from different places that someone told them you have more rights than the indigenous people here. That's it.
Yes.
Like it's Russians, it's Ethiopians. They blend them together. They throw them to the army so they get mixed.
Yeah, the melting pot
The
of the army.
melting
This is an
pot.
actual expression in
Yeah,
Israel.
and then they tell them, you're Israelis. It's important. You go protect your... And people buy into this. And this is what you call Israeli society. When I come here out of the street, do you see an Israeli society?
No, I see something weird.
Weird. So like, yeah, fuck it. Like,
Okay,
so you have to claim loyalty to something that doesn't exist.
That is manufactured.
Manufactured, yeah.
I think it exists in the sense that it was manufactured. And I think that Yuval, now I want to speak to you, Yuval, please understand that the thing that you call Israeli society and that you hold dear to your heart, I am sorry, Yuval. I know that it's hard. I am sorry, Yuval. But it is a fact that the thing called Israeli society that you feel a part of is fake and manufactured. And the things that are happening to your friend Basel and his family and the other residents of Masafer Yatta and all Palestinians, all of the oppression against Palestinians is a direct result of the process of manufacturing this fake society. And until you understand, Yuval, until you understand that Israeli society is fake and manufactured, and the root cause for all the things that you are against, for all the oppression of the Palestinians that you are against, then you will not be able to truly be an ally to the Palestinians.
So so you think, it's also hard for me to say this, I think, because do belong in a way to the group of the native speaking Hebrews,
Yes.
native Hebrew speakers.
Yes.
I do feel connected to this group in some sense. And I also care what they think about me. And I also want them to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I also afraid, I have sometimes, I don't know, like, but then I'm thinking, there's a point in this movie when somebody tells him, like, your brothers are the people who are stealing my land.
And then they cut off this discussion. And I remember I watched this movie and I was like, what? Continue.
Yeah.
Speak about this. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Speak about this. I want to hear about this. This is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's what Ronnie said, that most of the movie, like, you see them smoking shisha and that it wanted to focus on this body story because it touches you in some,
Yes.
Yeah.
Elik, you want to take a small break because I feel us losing you, and I think that this is a very important discussion.
But I also see that we're close to the time to our interview that we have to do with Muhammad, and I think we're closing to the 2 hours. I don't know if I
write to us in the chat how much maybe we will continue for 15-20 more minutes. Okay, we will continue. I think we're getting very near to something really important. I already messaged Muhammad and told him that we will be slightly late. So maybe let's continue 15-20 minutes. Okay,
but there's not אין אותי יותר מזה, מה שנקרא.
Okay, so we're gonna lose Elik in 15 minutes. So so let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. So this other sentence, my worldview stems from the fact that the people here are important to me, and this place is important to me, and I want it to change. And again, I want to say to Yuval, when you say this place, what do you mean exactly?
Yeah.
What do you mean exactly? And I think that this place is Palestine.
But he means Israel.
Yes, this is the thing.
I know this thing, that my mother always tell me, listen to Gideon Levy. He also shares your criticism, but you feel his love for the country, this thing that you need to show your loyalty to this Israel thing, to Arik Einstein, all this.
Arik Einstein is like one of the most famous Israeli singers.
Folklore and all this shit, and it's not that it's not part of me, but you always have to kind of show this loyalty. I know this language,
Why do you have to show loyalty? Because it's a cult and you have to prove your loyalty to the cult. And by the way, this is why I keep saying that Gideon Levy is a Zionist. And maybe we will maybe I will do it on my own. I will just read to you an article by Gideon Levy so that you will see that he is a Zionist. And this is why Elik's mother feels comfortable reading Gideon Levy when he criticizes the crimes of Israel, but not Israel itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Abraham arrives at the interview pacified and almost patriotic in his own terms, perhaps in an attempt to slightly correct the impression that he is the leftist who is smearing the name of Israel abroad.
Like us.
Like us. We are doing the dirty laundry outside.
Yeah.
This is לכבס את הכביסה המלוכלכת בחוץ, okay? This is an expression in Hebrew. It's a cliche, okay? Don't speak outside, speak inside, where it doesn't matter. Don't speak outside where it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But let's also put focus. He comes to the interview pacified and almost patriotic in his own terms. And I think that this is very revealing, okay? I was very surprised to see the character that is Yuval Abraham in the film No Other Land. Why? Because I saw someone who was connected to the Palestinians and their goal. And I think that there is almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation here. And I think that this is something that happens to people who still feel part of Israeli society, who are still part of the Zionist cult, but are in the process of exiting it because they met Palestinians and they are now connected with the fate of Palestinians. And I feel that, okay, when Yuval spends time with Basel Adra and his family and other people from Masafer Yatta, he becomes a Palestinian.
Yeah.
He becomes more of a Palestinian. The emphasis is more on his Palestinian side.
He speaks Arabic.
Yes, he speaks Arabic.
And it's question why, and it's a question to Yuval, why the people of Masafer Yatta are less your people than the people in your family dinner. Why they are not your people?
Yes.
And I think after this experience, you need to be able to say, these are my people, and I want all people like them to be my neighbors and to have families gathering with them. This is what needs to be said. Not to keep this wall and I'm coming back and then suddenly they're not my people anymore. If you join the struggle, this is the one state. When we speak about one state, is not just one parliament. We want
integration of everyone.
Yeah.
True integration, true justice requires true integration. You cannot have segregation and justice. This is 1950s USA, bro. This is 1950s USA segregation.
Yeah. But what's nice about the movie that it shows you that it's possible. It shows you that if you cross the line, the Palestinians are very welcoming.
Yes.
Yeah, and that they're not. That they don't have this looking down on you like the Israelis have on them. They're very everything in the, looking at you in the eyes.
Yes. But the thing is that once Yuval comes back to, the embrace of the Zionist cult, then suddenly Mr. Hyde comes out, okay?
Yeah.
And he returns to being a Zionist, okay? And this is how he came to the interview. He is now inside Israel, he is now inside the cult, and this influences him very, very seriously. And this changes his character almost unrecognizably, okay? Because now he is speaking to the cult, okay?
Yeah.
And this is why we feel that even if you have even if the control of the cult over you is not as severe as other people, it's still very significant, okay? And this is why Yuval didn't completely cross the line, and this is how it affects him. And now we will see exactly, okay? Okay, so let's continue. Okay. Okay, this is another interesting part. So Abraham arrived at the interview pacified and almost patriotic. The leftists were smearing us abroad. Okay, a series of critical speeches and interviews since the premiere in Berlin provide ammunition for supporters of this view. Although Abraham also has a lot to say and explain. I don't understand what the source is. 1 second. Maybe I'm getting tired as well.
Yeah. Somebody wrote, "Poor Elik is fading."
Okay. You know what?
You're right.
You know what? Let's do a part B of this.
Yeah.
Let's do a part B of this where we just read this article from start to finish. I think there's a lot to unpack here, so to speak. Okay, so Elik, let's just close this up. I'm sorry, guys. You see, Elik is tired. So we will do a part B to this.
We wanted to get to the end, right? But what he said made us very furious in a way.
Okay, people are down for part B. Let's make a time already on Wednesday. Elik and I will probably be working, so on Wednesday afternoon. Okay, Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, we will do a part B of this live session where Elik will actually be with us not only in body but also in spirit. Mm-hmm. And then we will analyze this article, and we will read it from start to finish, or at least most of it, and we will see how this is a striking example of how normalization works in practice with all the details. Okay, so so stay tuned for this, and thank you everyone for staying with us for such a long time, and thank you Elik for staying with us for such a long time, so come back to us for part B of this discussion about No Other Land and the significance of the film and the concept of normalization and how it works. Okay, so for now, bye everybody, and thank you, and free Palestine, and down with Zionism.
Yeah.
And let's say specifically, we want the oppression of Basel Adra, his family, and all inhabitants of Masafer Yatta to stop completely.
Yeah.
Yes, it requires the dismantlement of Zionism, but also we just want this. Okay, we also want just this. Please stop demolishing the houses of the residents of Masafer Yatta. Please let them live freely. Please stop ruining their lives. Please stop killing them. Please stop making them completely paralyzed. Please stop taking away their hope. Yeah. Please stop doing it. And you know what? Not please, just stop. Stop right now.
Yeah.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine, guys.
Bye everybody.